Alright, so for today's lesson we are going to be talking about unit conversions. So, unit conversions are when we start out with one unit of measurement and we need to convert that or change it into another unit of measurement. Oftentimes we'll do this because sometimes we'll be using units in America and we want to know what the equivalent is in, say, England or Mexico, or somewhere that doesn't use the same standards that we do as far as measuring. Okay, so around the world we have two major types of units. We have the metric units, which are used most commonly throughout the world. Those are things like meters, liters, kilometers, pretty much anything with a meter or a liter in it. Those are the most common ones, grams. In the U.S., we use what are called imperial or standard units, such as mile, feet, inches, pounds, etc. Okay, so when we're doing unit conversions, trying to go from one unit to another, we need three basic steps. Step one, what is the problem asking for? What are you given? What do you need to get to? What is the conversion factor? A conversion factor is an equivalence. So 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. These are widely known. You can look them up. There is a conversion table on Google Classroom that you can refer back to. I have one right here, so I can look on here. I can see 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. That is a fact. Okay, that's a conversion factor. Step 3, we're going to actually solve. And I'm going to show you how to solve here in just a second. But the idea is you put your given number right here, times, and you set up a fraction. Whatever your given unit was, you put that on the bottom for your conversion factor. On the top, you put what you're looking for or your need. So let's look at an example of this using a real problem. I want to convert 6.5 meters into centimeters. Okay, it's asking to convert meters into centimeters. Very straightforward. I want to know what is my conversion factor. So I'm going to look on here. You have a different one, but it's the same information. It says 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. I'm going to write that down. 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. Next, I'm going to plug it in. I'm going to write down what I'm given, which in this problem is 6.5 meters. So, 6.5 meters times, set up a fraction. I want to put meters on the bottom because that's what I started out as. So meters on top, meters on bottom. 1 meter goes on bottom. 100 centimeters, centimeters is what I want or need. That goes on the top. Now I just have to plug it in to the calculator. 6.5 times 100 divided by 1 is equal to 650 centimeters. Notice that the meters on top, meters on bottom cancel out so that my only unit that is left is centimeters. That's good. That's what it's asking for in the problem. I'm going to box it in to show that I am finished with this problem. All right, let's take a look at the next one. I want to convert 4.3 milliliters into liters. Now, if you already know the conversion factor, you don't necessarily have to write it down every single time. If you already know that 1,000 milliliters is equal to 1 liter, that's great. Probably that'll help you out in the long run because you won't have to keep looking it up. For now, on mine, I don't have a separate one for meters, liters, and grams. But I can use this same thing since they're all metric of 1 base unit is equal to 1,000 of the small units. Okay? So I can say 1 liter is equal to 1,000 milliliters. And if you ever run into the situation where you don't have the conversion factor on your conversion chart, you have a computer at your hands. Make use of it. Okay, so you can find that very easily just by doing a simple Google search. Alright, so let's plug this in. I'm given 4.3 milliliters. 4.3 milliliters times fraction. I have milliliters on the top here, so I want to put milliliters on the bottom. Okay? 1 liter equals 1,000 milliliters. I want to put 1,000 milliliters on the bottom. Top, bottom cancel. I'm going to put what I want on the top. I want to convert into liters. So 1 liter goes on the top. Okay, now I have 4.3 times 1 divided by 1,000. If you plug that into the calculator, 4.3 times 1 divided by 1,000. And I get 0.0043. My unit, since my milliliters canceled, is going to be liters. Remember that liters is always a capital L. Even in milliliters, it's a little m, big L. And notice how when I wrote my decimal, since it's less than 1, I put the 0 in the front. 0.0043. I did not just leave that blank. I made sure to put that 0 there because it makes it correct. Alright, let's look at another problem. Convert 98 millimeters into kilometers. Okay, this one's a little bit tricky. So, I know that 1 meter is equal to 1,000 millimeters. I also know 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. Okay, we have a lot of zeros in there. All right, and you can find both of those on your conversion table. So 1 kilometer, 1,000 meters, and the meters to centimeters is on there, or millimeters is on there somewhere. All right, so let's start out what we're given. We're given 98 millimeters. 98 millimeters times fraction. I have millimeters on top. I'm going to put millimeters on bottom. In my conversion factor, 1,000 millimeters is equal to 1 meter. Cancel out. I'm left with meters. But is that what the problem is asking for? No, the problem is asking for kilometers instead. Okay, so I'm going to have to set up another fraction. Alright, so when this happens, you just keep going in the same way. So I have meters on top. I want meters on the bottom. I'm going to go to my second conversion factor here. 1,000 meters is equal to 1 kilometer. Cancel out meters and meters, and I'm left with kilometers as my unit, which is correct because that's what it's being asked for. All right, so let's solve. So this is going to be 98 times 1 times 1 divided by 1,000, and then divide that again by 1,000. Okay? Alternatively, if you want to set this up as a fraction, 98 times 1 times 1 over 1,000 times 1,000, that will work as well, just whatever you prefer. All right, so I'm going to type this in. 98 times 1 times 1 equals, that's my top. I'm going to divide by what's on the bottom. Divided by 1,000, enter. Divide again by 1,000, enter. And I get 0.123400098 kilometers. Again, box it in, so that way we know we are done with the problem and we can easily find the answer. All right, so far we have been looking only at metric units, the ones that are used throughout the world and not very commonly used in the United States. Next, we are going to look at conversions between imperial or standard units, the ones that we're most familiar with here in the U.S. Okay, so these can get a bit tricky. So the metric unit is based on tens. 10,000, 100, things like that. The imperial or standard system of units is not. They are all sort of this random hodgepodge of numbers. Okay, you have to memorize. So let's look at this. Convert 15 centimeters into inches. So this is something we might do in a science lab. We have meter sticks, so we measure a lot in centimeters. Maybe I want to know, how much is that in US inches? Okay, so let me come over to my chart. I see that 1 centimeter is equal to 0.39370 inches. So 1 centimeter is equal to 0.39370 inches. Okay. I am given 15 centimeters times fraction. I have centimeters on the top, so I'm going to put centimeters on the bottom. Look at my conversion factor. 1 centimeter is equal to that many inches. 39370 inches. Okay. Solve 15 times 0.39370 divided by 1. Okay. So 15 times 0.39370 divided by 1 is 5.9, and let's just round it off to 2 decimal places here, 0.91 inches. So I can say that 15 centimeters is equal to approximately 5.91 inches. All right, so if you get a long decimal place like this, I'm usually okay if you round it off to 2 decimal places, unless it says otherwise in the problem. If it says round it off to 1 decimal place or round off to 3, then always follow that. Otherwise, you can cap it off at 2 decimal places, for the most part.